This lecture is the environmental science lecture, Introduction to the Hydrosphere. As you listen to this lecture, please try to answer the following questions. What is the makeup of the hydrosphere? What is the water cycle? What are the major components of the water cycle? The hydrosphere is a closed system made up of oceans, lakes, streams, underground water, and glaciers. The fact that it's a closed system means that water isn't created or lost from the water cycle. It moves from one area to another. Water is very important on Earth because it plays a key role in maintaining life and regulating environmental processes. The main transportation medium for moving most materials within Earth's systems is water. For example, materials like soil or sediment, also contaminants, are moved by water. The scientists who study water are called hydrologists. If we look at where the water on the Earth is, 97% of Earth's water is saline or salt water. So 97% of the Earth's water is in the ocean. 3% of the Earth's water is in fresh water. Now if we take a look at that 3% that includes fresh water, about 68.7% of that is in ice caps and glaciers. Another 30% is groundwater, 0.3% is surface water, 0.9% is other. So surface water, the water that we actually have access to, doesn't make up very much of the Earth's water. And this is important to think about as we think about water quality and water quantity in certain areas of the world. If we look at the 0.3% of surface water, 87% of that is found in lakes, 11% in swamps, and about 2% in rivers. So overall, only about 1% of the water on Earth is available for use by humans. The hydrologic cycle, or water cycle, is the existence and movement of water on, in, and above the Earth. Water's always moving and changing states. So there's no starting or ending point in the water cycle, much like we've learned with the carbon cycle, the nitrogen cycle, or other types of cycles that we see. The water that we have on Earth came from the time when the Earth cooled and was set free from magma. So this picture shows the water cycle. It's kind of an overall general picture. There are 16 components of the hydrologic cycle. First is water storage in the oceans. The ocean is the major storehouse for water, and there are currents in the ocean that circulate this water around the world. The water in the ocean is saline, or salt water. Evaporation is the process by which liquid changes to become a gas or vapor. It's the primary way that liquid moves back to the atmosphere. This process requires heat, and it drives the water cycle. Sublimation is the changing of snow or ice to water vapor without melting. And it only happens in certain climates where there's low humidity and dry winds in higher altitudes where the air pressure is less. It also requires strong sunlight. So one example of a place where this happens is on the south side of Mount Everest. Evapotranspiration is the water lost to the atmosphere from the ground's surface and the transpiration of groundwater by plants through their leaves. And what transpiration means is that plants release water from tiny pores in the underside of their leaves. It's estimated that about 10% of the moisture found in the atmosphere is from transpiration. During an average growing season, a leaf will transpire many times more than its weight in water. So for example, a large oak tree can transpire about 40,000 gallons of water each year. Water in the atmosphere includes clouds and humidity, and this makes up a very small percentage of water on Earth. Condensation is the process by which water vapor is changed to liquid water. And this is the process that's responsible for the formation of clouds and ground level fog. Precipitation is the discharge of water in liquid or solid state out of the atmosphere, generally upon a land or water surface. So precipitation includes rain, freezing rain, snow, sleet, or hail. Water storage in ice and snow is fresh water that's stored in frozen form, usually as ice field, snowfields, or glaciers. Water stays in this state for a relatively long period of time. The snowmelt to run off in streams happens in colder climates when the snow melts in the springtime and the melted snow runs off into the streams. This can sometimes cause flooding, landslides, or debris flow. Surface runoff is precipitation runoff that travels over the soil surface to the nearest stream channel. Stream flow is the movement of water through a natural channel. Freshwater storage is any fresh water that's existing on the Earth's surface. For example, streams, ponds, lakes, reservoirs, or freshwater wetlands. Infiltration is the downward movement of water from the land surface into soil or porous rock. Groundwater storage is the water that exists for long periods of time below the Earth's surface. Groundwater discharge takes place when water moves out of the ground and flows into a stream, river, or a wetland. And last is springs. This is where a concentrated discharge of groundwater flows at the ground's surface. Usually it happens when there's water that's flowing from the side of a hill or a valley or other place where land has been excavated and it's below the water table. So please review each of these vocabulary terms in your notes. Make sure that you have good definition and understanding of these, and come to class prepared to complete a water cycle activity during your next class period.